There is a moment in every woman's life when the noise of the world becomes unbearable and her soul whispers, there must be more than this. It is not a cry for more things, more praise, or more attention, but for more clarity, more peace, more self-truth. In that silence, something ancient awakens. A question rises, like mist before the dawn. How do I become the woman who does not break, but bends? Who does not chase, but attracts? Who does not fear solitude, but thrives in it? Stay with me until the end, because the answer lies not in becoming someone new, but in remembering who you truly are beneath the noise. There is a kind of intelligence that cannot be measured, only felt. It does not shout, it does not demand, it does not perform. Waits quietly behind the curtain of awareness, watching, breathing, witnessing. This is the intelligence of presence, the kind that a smart woman cultivates not through effort, but through awakening. The first step on her journey is not to act, but to see. To become truly smart, one must first become still. Before the archer looses the arrow, she must draw the string and breathe. Before the mountain blooms with spring, must endure the silence of winter. So too must a woman become the observer of her own mind, not its servant, not its enemy, but its witness. For in watching without judgment, she begins to remember who she is beneath the many masks she has worn. Imagine a clear lake. When its waters are agitated, you see nothing. The bottom is hidden, distorted, unreachable. But when the surface is calm, even the smallest pebble becomes visible. The smart woman begins her journey by calming the waters of her own mind. She learns to observe her emotions as passing clouds, her thoughts as ripples, her fears as shadows on the surface. Nothing needs to be erased. Only seen clearly. There is an old parable of a monk who came to his master in great distress. "Master," he said, "my thoughts will not stop. I sit in meditation and they come like wild horses. I try to stop them, but they become louder." The master poured a cup of tea, then filled it until it spilled over. "Why do you keep pouring?" asked the monk. "Because you keep speaking," said the master. "Your mind is full like this cup." Observation is not about controlling the tea. It is about holding the cup still. So it is with the smart woman. She does not wrestle her thoughts to the ground. She allows them to pass through her like wind through tall grass. She watches without becoming. She notices without naming. In this, she gains something far more powerful than control. She gains clarity. In daily life, this clarity appears in small, unnoticed ways. A woman may be tempted to react sharply to a message, to defend herself in a conversation, or to make a quick decision from a place of fear. The smart woman pauses. She breathes, she notices the impulse, and lets it pass. She does not act from the first wave of emotion, from the stillness that follows. Just as a seasoned gardener does not plant seeds in stormy weather, the smart woman does not act until the emotional weather of her mind has settled. She waits for the ground to become receptive. She knows that action born from awareness bears fruit, while action born from confusion creates more confusion. From the Tao Te Ching, we are reminded, do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? This patience is not passivity. It is discipline. The discipline of awareness. The smart woman disciplines herself not to control others, but to see herself with honesty. And this seeing, this gentle, unwavering observation is where transformation begins. Not in changing the world, but in changing the way she looks at it. And once she sees clearly, she begins to master the energy that lives within her. This leads to the second truth. The intelligent woman does not waste her energy on reaction. She transmutes her emotion into presence. Emotions are like rivers. They can drown or they can cleanse. They can carry you away or they can carve deep wisdom into the landscape of your being. The difference lies not in the river, but in your stance within it. A smart woman does not deny her feelings. She honors them, but she does not allow them to become rulers of her kingdom. Instead, she becomes the gatekeeper, letting feelings come and go, but not allowing them to make permanent decisions. There is a story from the East of a traveler who came to a monastery during a great storm. Soaked and shivering, he begged for shelter. The monks welcomed him, offering food and warmth. But as the fire burned low, the traveler began to curse the storm, rage at the cold, and blame the world for his misfortunes. The elder monk, silent through it all, finally spoke. "Your clothes are wet, but must your heart be too?" The traveler paused. In that simple question, he saw his folly. The storm was real, but his suffering was a choice. The smart woman learns this early. She feels everything, fully, deeply, but she chooses what to carry. Anger may arrive. She does not invite it to stay for tea. Pain may rise, but she does not let it dictate her voice. Instead, she gives herself space. A breath between feeling and action, a pause between sensation and speech. In the natural world, we see this wisdom in the forest. After fire, the trees do not weep. They do not curse the flame. They begin again, slowly, silently, from the roots. Emotional intelligence is not in the suppression of pain, but in the choice to use it as fuel for growth rather than a weapon of reaction. When someone provokes her, the smart woman does not immediately respond. She understands that energy is precious. Each word is a seed, each reaction a thread in the tapestry of her day. She chooses wisely where to plant and when to remain silent, not because she is weak, because she is aware. A woman once told her story of working in a tense office. Her colleague, bitter and loud, would often criticize her in meetings. At first, she would respond defensively, her voice rising, her chest tightening. But one day, she chose differently. She took a breath. She said nothing. After the meeting, she smiled gently and continued her work. Colleagues' behavior changed, not immediately, but gradually. Her calm was more powerful than her resistance. The Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." And so the smart woman does not give away her peace. She knows that the emotional state she nurtures becomes the soil of her decisions, her relationships, and her future. By tending to her inner garden, she cultivates a life that blossoms in authenticity and wisdom. From awareness to emotional mastery, her journey is not one of force, but of alignment. Like the river that flows not by fighting the mountain, but by carving patiently through it, she learns to flow wisely, to feel fully, and to act deliberately. There is no rush. The journey is not linear. Some days she will forget. Some days she will react. But she will always return to the breath, to the stillness, to the clarity of her own presence. For once she has tasted the peace of inner awareness, no chaos can tempt her for long. And so the smart woman walks slowly, gracefully, toward a life shaped not by reaction, but by wisdom, not by the noise of the world, but by the quiet knowing that lives inside her. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something deeper, something eternal. In a world that worships noise, voices competing to be heard, opinions shouted across digital valleys, moments drowned in distraction, silence has become a forgotten language. Yet it is in this quiet space where a smart woman learns to see, to hear, to know. There is a form of wisdom that cannot be taught in words. It rises from silence like mist from the earth before dawn. In this sacred hush, she meets her truest self, the self that does not perform, defend, or strive. It is not silence for the sake of withdrawal, but silence that heightens her presence. Through silence, she does not disappear. She becomes fully present. There is a Zen tale of a young seeker who arrived at the monastery eager to gain wisdom. "Master," he asked, "what must I do to understand the truth?" The master said nothing. Days passed, and still the master offered no answer. Frustrated, the student finally shouted, "Why won't you speak to me?" The master looked into his eyes and said gently, "Because everything you truly need to hear is already within you. But until the noise leaves your mind, my words would only echo in the chaos." The smart woman embraces this. She no longer rushes to fill the silence. In conversation, she listens more than she speaks. She allows space between thoughts, room between choices. In this space, intuition breathes. In this space, insight is born. In nature, silence is never empty. The forest speaks through stillness, the rustle of wind in trees, the distant call of a bird, the shifting of light. Each pause is alive. So too is the silence a woman creates within herself. It is not a void. It is a vessel. The smart woman understands that when she withdraws into silence, she is not running away. She is returning. In daily life, this might appear as a simple pause before replying to a harsh word, a quiet moment at dawn before the house wakes, a walk without music, a refusal to explain herself to those who are not ready to understand. Each of these is a thread in the tapestry of inner strength. There is a quote from the mystic poet Lala Lather: "If you cannot find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it?" To find the truth where you are, you must listen, not to the world's chatter, to the subtle rhythm beneath it. Silence is the doorway. The smart woman does not fear it, she honors it. In her stillness, others feel safe. In her presence, others remember themselves. And when she meets love, challenge, or loss, she does not rush to narrate, define, or solve. She allows herself to be with what is, because she knows that silence does not mean doing nothing. Silence means doing something rare, being fully awake. This awakening leads to another truth, the art of detachment. A smart woman does not entangle herself in things that do not belong to her. She loves deeply, but she does not cling. She gives freely. She does not lose herself in the giving. Detachment is not coldness. It is not the absence of care. It is the presence of wisdom. It is the understanding that nothing, no title, no person, no possession can define who she truly is. She can love without needing to own. She can walk away without needing to win. Her worth is not measured by how tightly she holds on, but by how gracefully she lets go. There is a parable from the old teachings. A young woman carried a heavy jug of water up a steep hill every day. One day, the jug cracked, filling half its contents along the way. Disheartened, she asked the old gardener at the hilltop, "Why should I keep carrying this broken jug?" The gardener smiled and pointed to the path. "Do you see the flowers blooming along your trail? They grew from the drops you thought were wasted." The smart woman remembers this. Not every loss is a mistake. Not every ending is a failure. She knows how to release with grace. Jobs, relationships, expectations, when they no longer serve her path. She does not carry broken jugs out of guilt. She learns to set them down, trusting that even what was spilled had purpose. In daily life, detachment might mean loving someone without trying to change them, letting go of a dream when it begins to harm her peace, accepting an unanswered message without spiraling into unworthiness. These small acts of surrender become acts of power. Just as the tree sheds its leaves in autumn, trusting that spring will come again, the smart woman releases what no longer serves her growth. She does not beg for what is fading. She does not bargain with what is meant to go. She stands still, allowing the falling, allowing the silence it leaves behind, knowing it is only clearing space for something new. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said that he who is not master of himself is the slave of another man. The smart woman knows that to be free, she must master the art of letting go. She does not let her peace be tied to the behavior of others. She does not make her happiness a hostage to outcomes. She trusts life's unfolding, even when it hurts, even when it is uncertain. This detachment makes her love more, not less, because her love is not a cage, but an offering. She can stand beside someone and say, I choose you, but I do not need you to complete me. She can walk away from something painful, not because she is unfeeling, but because she is awake. And in this wakefulness, there is profound serenity, the serenity of the woman who is not afraid to be alone, the serenity of one who can walk through storms without drowning in them, serenity of someone who knows that everything she truly needs is already within. From silence, she learns presence. From detachment, she learns peace. These are not traits she was born with, but qualities she cultivates like a sacred garden. She tends to them each day with breath, with stillness, with surrender, and so she moves gently through the world, not untouched by life, undisturbed by what is not hers to carry. She listens, she lets go, she remains, like the mountain that holds its silence in the face of every storm, like the moon that does not mourn the passing of clouds, like the river that flows around every stone, yet continues forward, unbroken. And in her stillness, in her letting go, others remember something they too have forgotten, that there is strength in silence, that there is freedom in release, that there is power in presence. She has not become someone new. She has returned to someone ancient, and in that return, she is home. There comes a time in a woman's journey when she begins to understand that her energy is her most sacred currency. Her time, her words, her presence, these are offerings. A smart woman learns that not every door deserves to be opened, not every request needs an answer, and not every invitation requires her presence. In this discernment, she discovers a quiet, dignified power, the wisdom of saying no. To say no is not to reject the world. It is to choose herself. It is to preserve her inner garden from the trampling feet of obligation, guilt, unnecessary noise. A smart woman learns that every yes carries weight. It is not just a word, but a commitment, a contract of energy. And so she chooses when to speak it and when to remain still. There is a story of a young apprentice who came to a wise woman asking to learn the art of healing. Teach me everything, she pleaded. The wise woman handed her a small bowl and began pouring water from a clay jug. She poured until the water reached the rim, and then kept pouring. The water spilled over, soaking the floor. Stop, cried the apprentice. It's overflowing? The elder smiled, placing the jug down. So is your life. Until you learn to empty your bowl, you cannot receive anything new. In much the same way, the smart woman begins to examine her own life. Where is she overflowing? Where has she said yes too many times? To the wrong people, to the wrong tasks, to the wrong patterns. She starts by noticing. Then, slowly, courageously, she begins to reclaim her no. In daily life, this might look like declining a meeting that steals her peace, or not replying to messages that feel draining. It may mean leaving a relationship that constantly takes and rarely gives. It may mean ending the cycle of over-explaining, overdoing, and overgiving. She realizes that her worth is not measured by how much she sacrifices, by how deeply she honors herself. Like a river that overflows its banks when not given boundaries, a woman who never says no becomes lost in the flood of other people's needs. But when the river flows within its edges, it nourishes all it touches. The smart woman, too, learns to flow within her own lines, not as limitation, but as freedom. The Persian poet Hafiz once wrote, "You carry all the ingredients to turn your life into a nightmare. Don't mix them." The smart woman reflects on this and smiles. She knows now that, to keep her peace, She must guard her gates. She does not answer every knock at the door of her mind. She does not follow every call for attention. She does not spend her soul trying to be understood by those unwilling to listen. This choice is not always easy. At first it may feel lonely, but over time something begins to bloom in the silence that follows a well-chosen no, a deeper connection with herself, a spaciousness, a breath, and in that breath she finds herself again, clear, grounded, whole. From this clarity, she also begins to understand the sacred rhythm of life. Just as the moon waxes and wanes and the seasons shift in their time, a smart woman begins to live in harmony with her own inner cycles. She no longer forces blooms in winter or rushes through her personal autumn. Instead, she honors the rhythm of her body, her intuition, and the deeper flow of her spirit. There is an old tale of a bamboo grove high in the mountains. In the dry season, the bamboo appears lifeless, unmoving. Travelers passing through believe the grove to be dying, but the villagers know better. It is resting, they say. It is storing its strength. Then, in the monsoon, the bamboo rises with fierce vitality, tall, strong, and deeply rooted. Without the rest, there could be no rise. The smart woman takes this lesson to heart. She knows that the culture of constant doing is a trap. There is a time to rise, yes, but there is also a time to rest, a time to listen, a time to be still. She does not fight these moments. She follows them. She aligns with them, like a skilled dancer who moves with the music, not against it. In her daily life, this might mean taking time away from screens to return to nature, or leaving a conversation when her inner world asks for quiet. It may look like declining social invitations, not from arrogance, from awareness. She trusts her energy, and she trusts its timing. Nature speaks this wisdom everywhere. The ocean does not apologize for its tides. The moon does not explain why it disappears. The trees do not rush to blossom. They know that beauty takes time, that silence prepares the soul, that decay is not failure. It is transition. As the Taoist sage Chuang Tzu once said, flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. This freedom is not chaos. Start running through the park. It is the choice to live in accordance with the seasons of the self, not the schedules of the world. The smart woman listens to her body's quiet signals. She learns the language of fatigue, of resistance, of readiness. She moves when the inner wind says move, and rests when it whispers wait, and in this trust life opens. No longer driven by pressure, she becomes moved by purpose. Her energy is no longer spent chasing validation, but nurturing her own roots. She stops blooming for others and begins to bloom for herself. She may rise early some days, filled with fire and intention. And on others, she may need to soften, to lie in stillness, to weep. Both are sacred. Neither makes her less wise. The smart woman knows that true strength is not in denying vulnerability, but in honoring it. And as she lives this way, saying no with grace, resting without guilt, she becomes like the river, the moon, the tree. Her life begins to unfold with a quiet wisdom that touches others not by force, but by example. She does not shout her truth. She embodies it. In her presence, others begin to remember their own rhythm. They too begin to say no without apology. They too begin to pause, to feel, to return. Her life becomes a kind of teaching, not in words, but in being. And so the journey of the smart woman continues, not in a straight line, but in a spiral, rising, falling, deepening. With each no she offers the world, she says yes to herself. With each step into rhythm, she leaves behind the chaos of a life that was never truly hers. She walks slowly, but with certainty. She does not need to be everywhere, do everything, or please everyone. She only needs to be aligned with her breath, with her truth, with the deep song of her inner being. And in that alignment, she becomes timeless, like the earth that holds the seed, until it is ready, like the wind that does not ask permission to change direction, like the flame that knows when to burn and when to go out. She has not escaped the world. She has simply remembered how to move within it, wisely, gently, as herself. You were never meant to hustle your worth, prove your love, or exhaust yourself into being enough. The smart woman is not born. She is remembered, uncovered beneath layers of noise, fear, and forgetting. She is the part of you that already knows. So walk away from what dims your fire. Choose quiet over chaos. Say no and mean it. Love and let go. Above all, listen, because somewhere inside you, the wisest part is already waiting. Rewatch this not to learn something new, to remember something ancient. You already are her. Now choose to live like it.